What's up, guys? Welcome to the Chess Giant. This is Solomon Riddell, and today we'll be going over another fun game played by Manny Pacquiao, the famous boxing world champion who has dominated the sport for decades. Pacquiao, in addition to being a great boxer, is pretty good at chess too. I'm excited to show you guys this game, so let's just hop right in. Pacquiao here was playing with the white pieces. The game starts off with knight f3, d5. Here we see d4, the queen's pawn opening. e6, bishop f4, knight f6, both sides just naturally developing here. e3, c5, and now c4 from Pacquiao. This is a very dynamic move, and there's a lot of tension in the center of the board right here, as there's a lot of potential pawn exchanges. Here black continues with knight c6, and now Pacquiao takes on d5, and after e takes d5, plays bishop e2. Bishop e2 is a good developmental move, developing the bishop and preparing for castles. And here black played bishop d7. I actually think bishop d7 is slightly too passive. This bishop on d7 is not well placed and would be a lot more active on f5 or g4. Here Pacquiao continues with castles, and after c takes d4, takes back with the knight on d4, and here Pacquiao has a very strong knight in the center of the board. We see bishop e7 and knight c3, developing the knight and putting some pressure on this isolated pawn on d5. Now we see castles. Rook c1. And this rook c1 move is very good fundamental chess for Pacquiao, putting the rook on the open file. We see a6, a3, and now rook c8 from black, putting his own rook on the open file. And now Pacquiao plays knight takes c6. B takes c6 was played, which is actually a mistake. I think it is much better for the bishop to take here. But we see after b takes c6, Pacquiao could have just took this pawn on a6. Pacquiao missed this and played bishop e5. Pacquiao is still doing just fine here, and I would give a slight advantage to white. Here black played queen b6, trying to create a more active square for the queen. And here from Pacquiao, the very strong move, b4. This is good positional chess. What do I mean by that? Well, Pacquiao realizes that there is a hole on c5. A hole in chess is a square that your opponent's pawns cannot attack for the rest of the game. For the rest of this game, none of black's pawns will be able to attack the c5 square. So Pacquiao plays b4, and now plans on playing knight a4 and knight c5, where the knight will be very strongly placed. We see bishop e6, and now knight a4, and after queen b7, bishop takes f6. A good move from Pacquiao. Bishop takes f6 was played, which is the best move. G takes f6 is just not very good because we see that after knight c5, and bishop takes and rook takes c5, black has double isolated pawns here. This pawn on f6 is really weak. White is going to play queen d4, putting some pressure on f6. White also has ideas of playing f4 and f5. This is very ugly for black to say the least. So after bishop takes f6, taking back what the bishop was best, and now we see Pacquiao play knight c5. Notice the activity of this knight here. We see queen b6, and now bishop takes a6. This bishop takes the pawn and also attacks the rook. So we see rook a8, and now queen e2, defending the bishop. And here black plays a good move, bishop e7. Here there is a threat for black to take the knight on c5, and then take the bishop on a6. So Pacquiao has to move this bishop to not lose a piece, and decides to play bishop b7, attacking the rook. This gives up a pawn on a3, and here Pacquiao wisely decides to trade off with knight takes e6, and after f takes e6, bishop takes e6. Here we see queen takes b4, and now bishop d7, attacking this e6 pawn, and after queen d6, queen b5, defending the bishop. Now we see rook a7, and again, black is threatening to take the bishop. Black has 2 attackers on the bishop, and white only has 1 defender. So here Pacquiao plays bishop c6. We see rook b8, attacking the queen, and now queen d3. And after rook c7, threatening to take the bishop, bishop a4. We see the rooks get traded off on c1, and now king f7. In chess, you always want to have an active king in the endgame, but king f7 is a mistake. It's too early, and on top of that, Pacquiao could have just took the pawn on h7. He was probably worried about queen a3, and this queen a3 puts pressure on both the bishop and the rook. And here, white would like to have the queen on d1. So by doing this, white could play queen h5, and after g6, queen d1. And now we see that white's up a pawn. But Pacquiao missed this, and instead played g3. Now we see rook b6, and I really do not like this rook b6 move. This rook b6 move gives up the square on c8, and on top of that, the rook on b6 isn't really doing anything. I couldn't think of a worse square in this position for the rook, to be completely honest. And on top of that, it allows queen takes h7. Now we see queen e5, and in this position, Pacquiao played rook c8, which is actually a mistake. Better in this position was the very nice move, bishop e8 check. King f8 and king f6 both result in mate in ones. So after king takes e8, we have queen g8 check, king d7 results in a mate in 2, and after bishop f8, white's able to play rook c8 check, and after king d7, snatch the bishop off of f8. And Pacquiao probably did not play this because he was worried about the king on g1, but the king's just fine. Let's say that black attacks the king aggressively with rook b1, and after king g2, plays queen e4. Well, here white can just play f3, and after queen c2, king h3. And we see that this king has escaped, and this queen on c2 cannot come to f5 or h7. And this king on d7 is just too exposed. This game is about to be over. But Pacquiao missed this, and instead of playing bishop e8 check, played rook c8. This is a mistake, because it allows black to play queen a1 check, where it would be checking the king, and attacking the bishop on a4. White would lose a piece and be losing the game. But thankfully for Pacquiao, black missed this and played queen f5. Now we see bishop e8, a strong move from Pacquiao. And now this is completely winning for white. If king f8, queen h8, and the game is over. So we see king f6, and now a very skillful move here played by Pacquiao, queen h4 check. If g5, queen h8 checkmate, and the game's over. I actually think this is a very beautiful checkmate. And if king e5 and queen d4 check, followed by king d6, this game's going to be over in a couple of moves. So after queen h4, we see queen g5, and queen d4 happens anyways. Now we see after queen e5, the rook hang on b6, and here black plays d4. Here Pacquiao could have just took the pawn on d4 with the queen, but instead played queen b2. Here we see bishop c5, and Pacquiao sees that this bishop is defending the pawn on d4, and Pacquiao also wants to easily simplify into the endgame. So he plays the nice move, rook takes c5. And after queen takes c5, queen takes d4 check. And this game is simply over. With trading off the queens, king f5, we have bishop c6, g5, h3. In just a few moves, Pacquiao went on to win this game. Right? And in this position, black resigned. So I hope you guys enjoyed this game. If you're a fan of Pacquiao, I actually went over another game of his, and I'll leave the link to that in the description below. Have a great day, guys. Thanks for watching today's video. If you'd like to watch another one, you can click or tap up here. And I've got a lot more high quality chess content on the way. So if you'd like to subscribe, you can click or tap down here. I really appreciate your support.